On April 28th, 2026, we're about to lose one of the best and most underrated multiplayer games I've ever played. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodhunt. A battle royale game that puts you in the city of Prague, in the middle of a brutal vampire war. After a meeting between the vampire factions is sabotaged by a faction known as the Entity, chaos ensues and a blood hunt is declared. And now they're all trapped inside the city, and all the vampire factions must fight for survival and to be the last one standing. I always loved this setup for the game, and thought it really set itself apart from other multiplayer games. But over the years, this game has provided me with hundreds of hours of gameplay without even requiring me to pay a single cent. It's one of those games I wanted to spend money on because I appreciated everything they offered. And after 5 years after the game released in early access, sadly the game is being shut down for good later this month. But I do gotta say, I will always appreciate this game for staying online for so long. That's something games like Concord and Highguard never even considered doing for their players. They shut down their servers just weeks after launching. Concord only lasted 2 weeks, and Highguard lasted about 6.5 weeks. You're telling me you can't even afford to pay for servers for 1 year after spending all that money on development? At least let the games breathe for a minute. Bloodhunt managed to carve out its own identity and offered some of the funnest gameplay of any multiplayer game I've ever played, and it's definitely a personal favorite of mine. While crappy games like Concord and Highguard come and go, Bloodhunt stuck it out for almost 5 years. Even with dwindling engagement, that's the sad thing nowadays, you feel like you have to force yourself to continue playing a game and fear that it might get cancelled. This is the type of thing that makes me fear for games like Naraka Bladepoint, which I also love but haven't visited for almost a year now, or Rocket League, which is one of my most played multiplayer games of all time. But after 5 years of playing that game every weekend, I was done for a while. But that doesn't mean I don't ever want to go back. Sometimes it's not the quality of the game. It's just not the game you want to play at the time. We all need our second, third, and fourth option so we don't get burnt out. And sometimes losing a game like Bloodhunt, which is a reliable backup for me, is just as frustrating. So before the sun rises on April 28th, I want to take one last look at why this game deserved better, and why it hurts more than just another server shutdown. So let's head back to the streets of Prague one last time and talk about what makes this game so good and why it's still worth saving, and what I think the future of Bloodhunt actually looks like. I hope you guys enjoy. Now, in order for me to explain why Bloodhunt is one of the best battle royale games ever, I'm going to break it down into 3 categories. Why I think the city of Prague is the greatest battle royale map ever, even better than the first Fortnite map. Then I'll talk about Bloodhunt's secret weapon, its mind-blowing movement and visceral combat. And last but certainly not least is the soul of the game, its intoxicating music. So let's go ahead and start out by jumping into the city of Prague. There is almost nothing that can top a dark, moody atmospheric game paired with vibrant colors. Just the way the colors cut through the night, even though it's supposed to be a spooky, dark setting, it's somewhat comforting, and just the contrast between the dark and the colors just looks so good, and Bloodhunt delivers this in spades. Everything is so damn beautiful, and things aren't overly colorful in a bad way. In a multiplayer game to have visuals like this is pretty amazing. The city has so much personality and detail, you'd think this was a single player game. There are shops and advertisements all over the place, steam coming out of the vents, helicopters and airplanes flying through the sky. This world feels so alive, man. It's something most players probably won't notice while running around fighting each other, but you can definitely feel it. Each section of the city has its own identity too. There's the burning church, which has been hit by a helicopter crash and lights up the sky with its fire. The Divine Disco Club, which has a bright purple hue filling up the streets around it. The Graveyard, which allows you to play a bit more stealthy. Then there's the library that has the whole building to explore. The museum-looking building, the Rodolphinium, which had those wavy walkways to jump around on. And let's not forget the underground parking garage here either. Then there's the shopping center with multiple levels and stores to enter. The sky bar was always a fun spot to jump up on. Always loved the colors and lights here. Then there's the slaughterhouse with 100 pigs hanging around, and a room in the back that looks straight out of Resident Evil. And I especially love the outside area here too. I always loved the wet ground and how it's reflecting the lights. The broken down apartment complex called Demolition, which has some of the most insane detail and uniquely shaped structures of the whole game. This became one of my favorite spots to lurk around in. Then there's the railway station on the east side of the map. A broken down abandoned mall with multiple levels to get lost in. A parking garage which has become a hot spot for the homeless. The harbor with the boats to run around and jump on, and even a shark that'll eat you if you fall in the water. And then we have the helipad, which is one of the best spots to get a view of this city. I mean, come on, this is sad, man. Can we just admire the beauty of this world? This is all about to be gone in a couple weeks. What a waste of potential. But that's just the main locations. The things that always blew me away on this map were the off-the-beat paths, like the alleyways and random streets. Every little area in this map had just as much detail as the main locations. There's the most colorful spot in the game, the Red Light District, which has the Glitter Factory, the Banana Bar, the Love Hotel, the Inner Circle, and the Girl Strip Club. Then there's this little hidden area by the Princess Haven that you would never see unless you randomly ran in here. I love the green and yellow lights and the ambience, and it's just a little spot that no one ever sees probably. And then down below is the Hawking Star Bar. Every little shop seems to have like this personality. Then there's the Uperian coffee shop by the slaughterhouse, which is definitely a spot my daughter would have made me stop and buy her some toys. In this little random corner that always caught my eye when I was passing by. It's the Cafe Bistro right near the Princess Haven if you want to check it out. I always just wanted to hang out here, and I could keep going on for an hour to be honest. This city is full of so many cool details, and I think the level designers did an amazing job with this game, especially with the lighting too. While you can, just jump into this game, let it spawn you randomly, and wherever you start, just look around and admire the level design and lighting. You can tell how much time they spent on designing this world, and even through development, they kept updating the map and making it more beautiful, and I always appreciated that. Just take the time to look at advertisements and movie posters. They all fit this world perfectly. I know it's probably not going to happen, but I would love if they recycled this city into a single player game. Seems like lost potential. And then in between these matches, you are sent back to the main hub, Elysium. Here you can run around, explore, dance with your friends, and accept quests from NPCs. Kostos is the keeper of Elysium and towards the front door. Kyril is down in the sewers. Omnis hangs down in the basement with the servers and the computers. And Maya is running the bar and the dance floor. Then if you go upstairs, M is the newly appointed prince hanging out in the executive suite, overlooking the city. I really like the addition of the NPCs in Elysium to hang out in. You never see that in a battle royale game. Games like Fortnite and Apex just have you sitting at the main screen looking at avatars, which in comparison is pretty damn lame if you think about it. On top of that, they included a story that you can progress through. It's somewhat bare bones as far as presentation. It's all through text dialogue, but I found it pretty fun to have little missions to complete each time you went into a match. And it always incentivized me to explore different parts of the city. Sometimes it was just a simple mission like travel a certain amount of distance or get 10 headshots. But other times it was a more interesting quest like collecting a poem or finding security footage for Omnis. Again, this is not groundbreaking stuff when you compare it to like a single player game, but for a battle royale experience, I thought it was awesome interacting and following a story with these characters in between the matches. This game at time reminded me more of like Destiny than it did Fortnite, especially with its hub and characters. And since this game's development was halted after just a year, we probably won't ever get the rest of the story. I would have loved to see the hub expanded through spots like the center door behind the statues or this sewer ladder. Every time I went by this, I wanted to climb up this thing. And every time I was up in that executive suite looking out at the city, I couldn't help but wonder what could have been if they kept developing the game. Now I want to talk about Bloodhunt's defining feature, its gameplay. Bloodhunt has, without a doubt, the greatest gameplay of any online battle royale, and it's not even close. Besides Gears of War, this is the funnest multiplayer gameplay for me. Bloodhunt's gameplay is so unique because while it's the most athletic multiplayer game I've ever played, it's a great stealth game too. 1 minute you'll be sneaking up on people, and the next you'll be leaping across a courtyard. It's Splinter Cell meets Prototype. The way you scale up walls, leap across rooftops, and float midair as you shoot your enemies is some of the most fun I've ever had. I also love how the shooting feels in this game. It's snappy and has just the right amount of aim assist to make you feel like your aim is good. And of course the movement in general is just great. I'm constantly sliding around and jumping just for that quick burst of speed. But it isn't the guns that sets Bloodhunt apart, it's the archetypes and the powers. In a way, it has a lot in common with Apex Legends, where you choose from a set of classes and each of them have their own unique abilities, but Bloodhunt does a good job of staying unique because everything is themed around vampires. So for example, the Prowler class has a passive ability which lets you see the blood trail of an enemy, and it makes them easy to follow when they're trying to hide, which fits the vampire aesthetic perfectly. But when I look back at Bloodhunt 10 to 15 years from now, there is one ability above all else: the Soaring Leap. I can't think of another ability I've enjoyed more while playing Bloodhunt. It's essentially Prototype as a third-person shooter, but whenever I played Prototype, I felt kind of out of control. It's less of a rage-filled sprint and more of a calculated stalking. You can reposition yourself against enemies to get a better shot. And if you're in the middle of a fight and they try to get away, you can soaring leap towards them and chase them down. And if they happen to get the jump on you, you can use it to get out of danger. It feels so good to escape someone when they're about to kill you. And when you combine that with the fast and smooth wall climbing, you can literally go anywhere. There's literally no surface that you can't climb up on, and I always loved climbing up on the cranes that would tower over the city. The developers have stated that they designed this deliberately, since vampires are notoriously on top of rooftops. They wanted the map of Prague to complement this, so instead of being on the ground sometimes, and then going on the rooftops, it's the other way around. You're actually going to be up high the majority of the time, and no other multiplayer game can replicate this. I also want to point out how unique the shrinking circle is in this game. Instead of a standard round circle, the game will throw all kinds of different shapes at you. It's pretty fun to move around and try and stay in. And when you find yourself within one of these narrow valleys created by the gas, it looks like two massive waves surrounding you on both sides. I was always blown away when I saw this. It always reminded me of that ocean scene in Moana, where she's walking on the ocean floor. And the last portion of the gameplay that I want to talk about that really impressed me and set this game apart is the Masquerade feeding system. This is where you'll be feeding on the humans during the matches. If you're familiar with the Bloodlines universe, you'll know that revealing yourself to humans or using powers in public is forbidden. So in this game, if you bite a human and someone sees you, you're immediately revealed and other players can see where you're at, making you glow red through the buildings. I thought this was actually a really clever way of tying in the gameplay back to the lore of the series. I also love that the fact that you could feed on different colored humans and it'd give you specific buffs. The pink ones would grant you health generation, the blue and purple ones give you buffs to your abilities, the orange makes your melee attack stronger, and the red ones, which is actually exclusive to the solos mode, gives you an additional life. There have been matches where I regained 2 or 3 lives and ended up winning, which felt like I had some massive comeback, and it was really satisfying. This feeding system is a really cool upgrade system within the matches. And on top of that, when you feed on a human or another player, it gives you a full health bar, which is pretty awesome. It's one of those risk-reward situations where you can put yourself at risk during the animation, but you're going to be fully healed afterwards. Sometimes it got me killed, and other times it saved me. You just got to be smart about it. And even classes like the warden can regain all of its armor too, which is especially great because normally you'd have to run around and search for a police van to find armor, which made it one of the best characters in the game. Just the idea of feeding on humans seems so simple, but it's such a deep mechanic. You could even use it to heal yourself in the gas and get a full health bar and survive. There's so many ways you could use it. I think it helps maintain the momentum of the gameplay. There's nothing worse in a BR for me than having to scrounge around for health packs after each fight, and I thought Bloodhunt fixed this perfectly. I would have loved to see how many more archetypes I would have come up with, but honestly, as is, this game is balanced and really fun to play. And if it never got another character, I'd still play it. Alright, now that we have explored Prague and covered the gameplay, now I want to jump in and highlight some of the most beautiful music in this game. Funny enough, out of everything in this game, the music is probably the only aspect that's going to survive this server shutdown. Developers can't take the music away from us, so I got the vinyl to prove it. The vinyl is going to be the only physical item we ever get for this game, since there was no physical copy of the game either. I would honestly suggest buying the soundtrack or the vinyl record before they're sold out. I think composer Atanas Volkov did a really good job. It's haunting, epic, and makes you feel like you're in the middle of a brutal vampire war. I'm really going to miss booting up this game and just taking the music in. But with that said, the music of Bloodhunt is pretty damn awesome. So let's turn on the Link to the Light record player and listen to some of my favorite songs from the game. This first track is the song that plays during the intro animation, and it's titled The Ultimate Predator. The track Elysium is the calm before the storm that plays in the main hub. Then we have Prague, which is a song that's atmospheric and it feels like it weaves around you with its instruments. It's calm yet unsettling. Then we have Fight Night, which is probably the most intimidating track, pounding your eardrums as the choir joins in. Then the awesome track called Chasing Shadows has an epic choir that makes me want to start chanting too. And finally, the Bloodhunt classical theme, which is my favorite song in the game, that plays every time I scroll past the game's icon on my PS5. Even when I'm not in the mood to play this game, this song somehow makes me want to jump back into another game. And there are plenty more that are great. Even the music just playing throughout the whole different sections of Elysium is awesome. Ominous with his dark sci-fi tracks. Then just up the tunnel is Kyriel rocking out. And then back upstairs is Maya with her electronic dance music. I can't tell you how often I just hung out on this dance floor. Every area of Elysium definitely has its own personality. I'm not going to be overly dramatic here. I know it's just a game and I'll survive when it's gone. But the fact that we have to is one of the most frustrating parts of this industry. Games require so much engagement for these companies just to justify keeping the servers online. Gamers aren't going to stick around when the chance of a game going away is so high. But also at the same time, I commend them for keeping the servers online for so long. I mean, seeing Concord and Highguard shut down so fast actually makes me appreciate what this game did. And because this game is going to be gone forever, my kids aren't going to be able to grow up and try this awesome Bloodhunt game that Dad always talked about. They won't ever be able to pick up the controller and feel what the Soaring Leap felt like. They'll be able to see footage, but it doesn't do it justice unless you're pressing the button. For example, Gears of War 2 doesn't have anyone playing online anymore, but at least you have the option to play against bots. You can jump in at any time and experience those old maps whenever you want. Yes, it doesn't feel as good playing against bots, but it's better than the game going away. And one of my favorite games from last year, Kazan the First Berserker, their team just got dissolved and we're probably never going to get another sequel. But at least I can go back and play the first game. But when it comes to Bloodhunt, it's just going to be gone. And the craziest part is, Bloodhunt doesn't even have to die. The developers have already done the hard work. They built in an automated voting system for the community, filled the lobbies with capable bots to keep the queue times down, and even added into the end of the battle pass, if you get to level 101, you can keep leveling up for more coins. So eventually you can just buy everything in the store. At this point, there really is no need for the developer anymore. So why they can't just give us an offline mode is still crazy to me. I've played solos a lot, going through this story and just completing missions. It's actually pretty fun and feels like a single player game at times. Even more baffling is that every time I boot up this game, the game feels so alive. Elysium has people running all around. Most of the time there are close to 20 people loading up in my hub. It sure doesn't feel like it's dying. I was telling my wife the other day, I wish I was rich, man. Wish I was Elon Musk and just buy up this game. I would buy the game's rights up in a second, because it's mind-blowing that they're just going to let this amazing game die, even while the servers are actively buzzing. I truly believe Bloodhunt just needed another marketing push, or just more pushes, and I think they just needed better skins, man. There are some good skins in the game, but man, if they had Naraka Blade Point level skins, this game would have been so successful. They should have partnered with other vampire properties, like Supernatural, Teen Wolf, Vampire Diaries, Blade, Van Helsing, Dracula, and of course Underworld. Just give us an Underworld Kate Beckinsale skin, and just watch the money roll in. What about even the new Blood of the Dawnwalker coming out? It would be great advertisement for both companies. While Fortnite is busy adding hip-hop music and Kim Kardashian, you could have stayed true to the vampire themes and universe. I think the limited marketing that they did have was actually pretty good. We just needed more of it. The cover art for this game is awesome. The theme song is awesome. I also like the additional material like the soundtrack cover with the blood flowing from the vampire's mouth, representing the Soaring Leap trail. That is some top-notch graphic design. And like I said, the game even had its own vinyl release. There was a lot to like here, but we just needed more of it. So what can we do? Is there any hope moving forward? All I can say is this. Let's just fill up the servers as much as possible before the end and show them that this game is worth preserving. I've currently put down all the new games I've bought just so I can spend the last month of this game. I've never made it all the way through the story quest and want to try and finish that up. Especially since it's going to be gone forever, I'm going to try and get as much footage as possible. Another thing I want to point out is an interesting comment that they made on Twitter. The person said, "Thank you guys. I had some amazing times with this game and I hope we can see a new version of Bloodhunt soon." And the Bloodhunt account replied, "Thank you. There's always hope." Come on, don't tease us, guys. But that does sound like some kind of glimmer of hope if I've ever seen one. Could they come out with the Bloodhunt 2 in the future? I don't know, but man, why would they be shutting this one down just to come out with another one? Maybe in the near future they'll change their minds and add an offline mode. I just wish they wouldn't give up. And I think that's what I'm going to miss most of all. Just the ability to turn on the game and run around this world. To experience the soaring leap or do a projection dash. I'll miss coming into the dance floor and violating this statue with whatever random emotes you had. I can watch gameplay footage all day long, but I can't jump into Prague and feel the controls again. And just feel how polished it was. I just hope that someday, if Bloodhunt is truly gone, another game comes along that gives me the same feeling. Now let me ask you guys this, have you guys played this game? Or are you just as depressed as I am? Let me know down in the comments. But with all that said, I guess I'll see you guys in Prague for the next couple weeks. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, stay in the light, my friends. Later.